Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. Fell asleep. Like that I was. I'll tell you for why in a moment why I was asleep. Wasn't like it's just nuts. Anyway, got a good show tonight. I'm telling you, it's all this thing. Be really good. Well, I hope you'll enjoy it. Okay, I'll just go through these and I'll bring Anthony on. I'll just go through these if you'll excuse me. Chris says, hiya Frank, my local team showed me a wonderful place to relax by. They were just a couple of minutes walk from where I am. Oh, to show you if you visit. Yeah, that's fantastic. That. Do me a favour, Chris. Try and look at a place for me rather than a hotel, because I'd rather have that. I'd rather that's if you're still with us now. Like that is. I could be talking to myself as usual. Daryl Merry, Franco Di Carlisle, Carlyle, Franco Di Carlyle. Hope you're feeling okay, Frank. Yeah, I'm good. I really am. And Paul Turner, even if Frank, hope you're okay and you had a good weekend. I did. I did. I did have a good weekend. Thank you so much. Uh, it was different in every part. And Anfield Row. Hi everyone, look at all them pints. Fantastic. Hello Frankie, hope all's well, mate. The Amor. Oh, golly. And the Anfield Row says, also, hope Alan Hansen recovers. Yeah, I don't even know what's wrong with him. Does anybody know? Let me know, please. And Gary says, Frank, I hate falling asleep and I don't want to. It gives me a headache. No, honestly, I'll tell you in a moment and you'll go, okay, why I fell asleep. Promise I won't turn this into a Liverpool FC show like Saturday. It always gets turned into a football show. Well, there's me and Anthony's a big head anyway, so talk about. But I will give you loads of history, and you're gonna like it, honestly. Watch it. Stay with me and watch it. I'm feeling all Frankie and Anthony. They're alcoholics. And Tony was giving us both thumbs up, pints, scotch. So, hello, Frankie says the red bird. Hello, Anthony, when you turn up. Hello, Anthony, when you turn up. I'll bring him on right now. And the red bird comes up and oh, that's great. Great. And there he is, Anthony. I'll explain why I went to sleep today. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Frank. Good evening, all. Thank you so much. I've been backstage hiding all the bevies, putting them
Exactly.
all in order, marking Frank's. I'll take the scotch, he'll take the beers.
Do you know what though?
We'll get
Uh,
through about
uh,
5 minutes.
what I was saying today, like I was saying before about today, and why I fell asleep because I hardly had any sleep at all, and so I'll tell the people. I had a talk this morning at the Liner Hotel. I had to go up there and give a little talk and whatever. And Anthony and his lovely wife Lainey, said we'll take you up there. So anyway, they picked me up, went up there, and gave the talk. Didn't I, Anthony?
which was brilliant, absolute as ever. Yeah, you did. But some of the dear audience weren't quite on the beam, really.
No,
Were
no,
they? Others,
no.
but brilliant talk. Yeah.
You're right there, because they're lovely people. They are, who went to see and gave the talk to. They were just, how can I put it? I think some of them were falling asleep anyway. And then well, honestly, people, what has happened, I came out, give the talk. And as I said, I hadn't had much sleep. And Elaine said to me, do you want to go for some breakfast, Anthony? And I said, I can't. I said, I want to get home. I'm really tired. So anyway, I get home. I had a cup of tea. And Lainey said to me, make sure that you have something to eat. So I said, I will. So I had something to eat afterwards. And I said, I think I'll go and lie down, for half an hour. Blimey, that's how long I slept for, But it was good, I said though, didn't I, Anthony, that I would just have a sleep because I was absolutely shattered.
Yeah.
Absolutely shattered.
We can do without certain things, and we plod on, but not sleep.
Yeah, this is what we do. This is what we do. We do plod on. We do plod on. I'll just go through these again, Anthony, and then I'm going to start on this. God blimey, look at all this, lot. We're going to be drunk, we are, definitely. We are, definitely. Anyway, the Redbird says, was watching the great Alan Hansen today. What a player. Frank, we'll forget about the football tonight. Thanks. No, you're going to like what I'm going to talk about, really. And it applies to today. And Gary Rigby, I told some students some good local history today. Good, Gary, good. And this, I was made up when I was giving talks at St. George's Old Concert Room. And I used to say to them, I was the first, which I'm very humbled about. When it opened after the refurbishment, they asked me, so I was the very first to go into the concert room and give a speech, give a talk, And I was very humbled about that. And anyway, then I started going back, giving these talks. And what I used to say was like fellas, women as well, bringing their kids along, not loads of kids, but young kids. And this is what I want to do, I want all these kids to know about their history here, what we've achieved. Yeah. It's incredible what we've achieved. And as Anthony said, some of the people today just couldn't understand what I was saying. It's like I asked how many people. I just said, just came to me because I don't go into a speech or a talk or anything prepared. Honestly, I don't, because I just come in and say it off the cuff. Because Lainey said to me, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know, it's just what comes out of my mouth. Everything's off the cuff. Everything I've done is off the cuff. Anyway, I remember giving a talk at St. George's Hall in the concert room, and they were waiting for me, it's shocking, waiting for me. And I was being filmed. I've got the film there. It's on the DVD. Anyway, through this, I'm in the lift. I get in the lift, and a girl's waiting for me, some young girl, worker. And she said, are you here? I said, yeah, I'm So we was going up in the lift, she said, and she had this like thing, you know, she said, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know. She went, oh, what do you mean you don't know? I said, well, I don't. I said, you know, I just say it. She said, but I've got written down here, the First World War. I went, oh, okay, I'll talk about that. And she said, where's your notes? I said, I don't have to have notes. I said, say about it. She went, oh. And she was nervous. And anyway, she had to stay there, you know. And I did the talk in a couple of hours. And she came up to me and she said, that was unbelievable. You didn't even know what you were talking about. I said, no. And she said, you didn't have a note of any? I said, no. I said, but that's me. I don't prepare for any. The only time I ever prepare for is when I'm giving a talk about the gunpowder plot or Jack the Ripper. That's the only time, you know, if I go in and I know what I'm talking about. So, you know, I don't bring notes to that either. The only thing I do bring with me are certain letters that was written. Certain letters that was written. Say the likes of Robert Cecil during the gunpowder plot. I put that up. You know, this is what he's written. What Robert Cecil had written. Because he wrote it to himself. To exonerate himself from the government. You know, the government's not involved, sort of thing, in the gunpowder plot. And the other is by Jack the Ripper himself. Dear boss. But when you look at the letter, it's unbelievable. It's beautifully written. Yeah. And the only person, like dear boss, you know, you'd expect that to be a working class fella or something. But dear boss. And they couldn't even write. They couldn't even write. Read or write, you know, the working classes, you're talking 1888. You know, so say the people were born, say around 1860, they had no school and they had nothing until the Forster Act of 1770, when it's that every child should go to school, and it wasn't until 1880, and it was the Mandela Act that made it compulsory for children to go to school. Yeah. So that's I put that up. I explain all. I've just got a message. Hang on a sec. Just got a message. Sorry about this, people.
No worries, Frank. We're amongst friends.
Listen to this. Jason, right, sent me this text. He said, I've been producing your show for over 10 years. I can testify that you don't prepare for anything.
Oh, Jason.
You know, because, as I said, you know, when, we show clips, it's just so that I can go and make a cup of tea and, at half time, so to speak. And Jason says, well, I said, well, you just picked them. Yeah, okay. So it's that sort of thing. And he says, what kind of pictures do you want? Put everything up. You see what I mean? So I don't even prepare. It's what I see in front of the screen.
That's why Jason, I call Jason telepathic. Because he does not know what you're going to talk about, yet there's an image or 4 images. And by the way, happy birthday for yesterday, Jason.
He just told me. I said, because he said, I'll be busy over the weekend. And I said, okay. I thought he was working. I really did think that he was working. And he wasn't. I said, was you working over the week? He said, no, it's my birthday.
Hopefully
So,
work.
there's all the family.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday. I'm just seeing the Anfield Road. Look at all them pints for you and all the scotches. No, scotches, everything.
I wouldn't get through the first half after them. Or maybe I would.
Maybe you would, yeah, because you like your little
Then
scotch.
you-
You like your little scotch. How do you know that?
Oh, you know that,
And,
yeah. Be guilty, see.
yeah, look at that. Chris already sorted out the best place as you wish, Frank. Just email and with your expected date. I promise I won't do it tonight, Chris. I will email you tomorrow. You'll have an email in your box. Thank you so much. And this is about Alan Hansen, the outfielder, Redbird. Let's hope he recovers, says the outfielder. And Redbird says, Ali looks a bit flushed after all that beer.
Jeff, I would be. I couldn't do it. My out of practice, totally out of practice.
Gary Rigby says, knocks me out if I have something heavy like pie and mac. I've only got to have a sandwich and I'm asleep. Don't know what it is, really. And are you not allowed to go into St George's Hall like the Cunard and the Port of Liverpool building, St Paul Turner? The way it's changed now today, how can I put it? They just want your money now, and everybody has to pay. Everybody. I always remember bringing about 40 people up to the Catholic Cathedral, and I was there, and this is 40 people, so it brings them in, showing them things, everything, because they have to be shown things, like like the Stations of the Cross. The Stations of the Cross, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I show them and I explain who designed them and everything. And there are some that is it's unique the way the sculptor did them, because you're looking up at him, but he's looking up at you. It's incredible. It's where he's on the ground.
Yeah.
Like the cross is heavy and he's forcing himself up, but he's looking at you and you're looking up at him. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible the way this fella did it, Sean Rice. It was incredible, brilliant. So it's things like that that are shown. It's things like that. And anyway, so we goes over, and you have to pay to go into the crypt. You have to pay. And the woman was there. She was new. So anyway, she said, that'll be, I forget how much, like 350 or something. I said, this is my group. I said, they're all over there, look. I said, there's about 40 of them. And you're expecting me to pay? Me? She said, oh no, she said, they have to pay each. She must have thought that I was saying I have to pay for them all. And anyway, I said, okay. I said, are you asking me to pay as an individual? She said, oh yeah, you have to pay as well. I said, no. I said, there's no way I'm paying to go down there. There's no way. The group are. They're going to pay individually. Well, why should I pay? I'm bringing them in. So anyway, she said, she was adamant. So anyway, I said, okay, leave it. So I was just walking around with the group, and we were all piling out. And one of the guides who knew me came over and said, Frank, I thought you were break, because I said we'll be going down the cliff. And I said, no, I said, the lady said to me that I should be paying me as an individual along with the others. And he went, please just hang on a minute. I said, no, it's too late. I'm on a tight schedule. I said, it would have been all right before. And anyway, we all went outside and we were going down the steps. And this woman came out and said, I'm awfully sorry. I said, I tried to explain to you, darling. I said, I'm sorry. I tried to explain to you. She said, can you bring them back, please? I said, I can't. I said, I'm on a tight schedule. So they lost 40, £3.50 or whatever.
Well, the other value really is they lost that interest and that word of mouth that would have gone to hundreds of people when they went home and said, we saw fantastic inside the cathedral today.
Look at that. Evening, Frank and Anthony, says Ian Mac.
Evening, Ian.
And Chris says, hit the likes, please, lads.
Good lad, Chris.
Thank you. We'll get on to this one. How about this for a coincidence? Mark Simons. Is it true, Frank, that Oliver Twist was taken by Dickens from an orphan's tombstone in Liverpool? What was I talking about today?
None other than Charles and Oliver.
Isn't that incredible?
Real namesake. Yeah.
See, as I said, I just go in and I just do a talk. And I was talking about people who came into Liverpool. And I started off by saying, well, as I was talking, going through and some of the characters, but I wasn't just giving the characters. I was also giving out. Do you know the way, like in a quiz, and it says what year was the gunpowder plot? 1605. If you can get it right. No, people just say, oh, it was in 1605, but they can't give the background because they don't know. And that's what I do. If I mention a character, I give the background to it and what they've achieved.
Yeah.
You see? And I was talking about, say, like Kitty Wilkinson. I spoke about Kitty Wilkinson today when she lost her father. She lost a little baby sister. And everything was skewed with for them. And they had to get to Liverpool because they floundered. And her mother was institutionalized because she's just lost a breadwinner, and also the baby was dragged from her arms in the sea, in the water.
Yeah.
So she lost a little baby, and the little brother and Kitty survived, but they were incarcerated in a workhouse up in Lancaster, and she came back to Liverpool after 10 years. And if there was a Mensa going then, her IQ would have been unbelievable because she was a genius, and people don't realise that. They don't learn you there. They never ever taught in workhouses, and yet she opens a school. She did remarkable things for them, for kids and the poor. Remarkable things. She saved lives left, right, and centre to Kitty Wilkinson. She opened a wash house, the first wash house in the entire world, and that never gets mentioned. So it's things like that I was talking about, rather than just Kitty Wilkinson. And believe it or not, there was only a couple who knew about it. a couple. You know, that surprised me. It really did.
Did me.
And when I spoke about a lad who was born in the workhouse, Brownlow Hill workhouse, it was incredible. And the mother died. He didn't know the mother's name. She banged on the workhouse door. And you're talking Victorian clothing, where it was wide as well. But so you couldn't tell if a lady was pregnant or not. So what had happened? One of the women who worked there went, well, she's giving birth here. And she was feverish, she couldn't talk. So she gave birth. And when she gave birth, she died. And they didn't know her name because she couldn't talk. She died. So they rushed the baby over to the chapel to baptize him. Because they didn't. They said, well, what shall we call him? And the vicar, it was the vicar in there, he was baptizing him, giving the child. See, they thought the child was going to die too. So anyway, they baptized him. And I said to them, I said, so you've got no name for the child. The vicar who was baptizing him, and I was throwing the end there, baptizing. I said, what do you think they called him? He was being baptized. And no one got it. And I said, baptized, baptism. What do you think they called him? And one lady, I was just gonna say, and she said, was it John? I said, why John? She said, John the Baptist. I said, precisely. Precisely, well done. So, you know, his name John, and they had to give him a surname. You have to have a surname. And his name, I said, what do you think his name was? What do you think they gave him? I said, think of a church. Think of an old Anglo-Saxon word meaning church. And one of them got it again.
She did.
Yeah. Kirk. That's why Kirkdale is named after a church that was in the Dale. You know, you're going back to 1207 before. You know, Kirkdale. There's a little church there, Kirkdale. So, you know, it's things like that. But anyway, you know, the people were made up, and I was saying about this John Kirk, who became an unbelievable hero during the Raj, because that lad won one of those, a Victoria Cross, and there he is. That's John Kirk.
Wasn't he the first Liverpoolian recipient?
Yeah, he was the first recipient of the Victoria Cross, first Scotia, first Liverpool lad during the Raj, because he rescued the captain. He rescued the captain's wife, the captain's children, and the servants from Punjabis who surrounded the house. So he rescued them. He was mentioned in dispatches. But the irony about him winning the Victoria Cross, when he won it, he was suffering from a debilitating disease, wasn't known then, called narcolepsis, where you just think, I've got it, you just fall asleep and you slur your speech. You slur your speech. So what had happened was, This captain of his regiment said that he was drunk on parade because he was falling asleep and staggering. So he was put on a court martial. This is back home, and he was put on a court martial. So when he was put on a court martial, tried him. Now back in the day, if you were put on a court martial, you were executed. Even for a trivial thing, you were executed to show, how tough the army was. And they stood, they wouldn't stand for any misdemeanors, no matter how trivial it was. So they said, well, we can't execute him. Why? He's getting the Victoria Cross. He hasn't been presented yet. We can't turn around and say he's dead. He's executed, so you can't present it. This is by Queen Victoria. So they gave him 50 lashes. 50 lashes. And he got the 50 lashes. And he came out. He came out of the, the portals, the doors. And then he went to receive his medal. After he received his medal, pinned on him, he went out, and as soon as he walked through from Queen Victoria, who says, well done, remarkable thing what you did, remarkable heroic thing that you did. Anyway, through the portals, they shut. They took his sword off. They said, give us your sword. So he handled, because he was in full military regalia, gave them the sword. The captain, broke the sword over his neck, put it down, took his medal off him, and stripped him of his uniform, gave him clothes, and dishonorably discharged him. And he made his way back to Liverpool, because Liverpool was the only home he knew besides the army. And he made his way back to Liverpool, back to the workhouse he was born in, back to the workhouse he was born in, where he died. So he was born in the Brownlow workhouse, and he died in Brownlow workhouse. And that's the sad story of
it's beyond sad. I remember, and Lainey remembers vividly, a few years ago when you first told us that, and we were shocked, dumbfounded, and to me it was it was the saddest and most tragic story I'd heard, and then hearing it today when you because you could hear the pin drop.
Yeah.
When you were reciting, rightly so, and it does not lose its power, because the enormity of that, what happened to that remarkable gentleman, is not faded whatsoever over the years.
Well, that's it'll never fade, especially with the likes of me. Especially with the likes of me, because stories like this should be told.
Oh, me.
Really, they should be told.
Yeah.
And if I give a talk and someone mentioned it, I'll talk about it. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And then also what you've got, besides like him dying, when he was a little boy in the workhouse, and when Dickens used to visit Liverpool, he used to go to jails and police stations and workhouses to get information, for stories. Because when you look, say like Mr. Micawber, for example, Mr. Micawber is based on his own dad. Characters are based on real life people. Fagin was based on a fella in Leeds, a fence in Leeds.
Yeah.
And he was, so, you know, everything is based on fact.
Yeah.
Real life characters. And Oliver Twist was. Oliver Twist's birth went like that. Whoa, because, you know, that was the birth of Oliver Twist. Because they didn't know who the mother was. And she died. And Oliver Twist grew up in a workhouse. So when you look at Brownlow Workhouse, the benefactor of Oliver Twist was his grandfather named Mr. Brownlow. Brownlow Workhouse, you see. And also what he did, Dickens, he went down to see a gang of kids who worked around the docks stealing. He was stealing from, you know, rich people. Their handkerchiefs, pocket watches, anything they could steal. And they were known as the 40 Thieves. They became the catalyst for Fagin's gang.
Yeah.
So the connection there is immense. And when you look at Hard Times, if you've got a copy of it, get onto the 5th chapter, because that 5th chapter is the descriptive writing of Liverpool from Everton. Believe it or not, he's looking down. He's in Everton, where the tower is.
Yeah.
And he's looking down from there, and it's incredible. Just have a look.
Yeah.
Just have a look. He's looking at the
view now from
he's looking at the Liverpool Leeds Canal and the River Mersey. But you want to see what he writes, the 5th chapter. It's called Keynote. Keynote, the 5th chapter of the book, Hard Times. It's incredible. So that he's describing Liverpool. Brilliant, best descriptive writer ever was Charles Dickens. So, you know, these are the things that really should be told.
Absolutely. Yeah. The greatest strength of a piece of work is if you're drawing or painting it or whatever, if you're imagining a scene with some of the greatest artworks, and we've talked about them hanging in our beloved Walker. These are models. You know, so the best things are drawn or written from reality. You know, as you were saying there, from real people, real streets, a pub, a boat, everything has a stronger resonance to people. It's more believable.
Oh yeah, and it's how it's told.
Yeah.
You know, it's no use just like, you know, monosyllabic talking about something that's interesting and should be told. And if you're monosyllabic, it's a waste of time. Really, it's a waste of time because, you know, people are just bored on this person.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like anything. It really is. It's like anything. It's like an architect. I'd love to show you a house in Rodney Street. And this architect, you know, this fella, he wanted a house built, for example. The very first, it's great this, the very first, shall we say, tenant, I'm not a tenant really, bought the house in Rodney Street was William Roscoe.
Wow.
And they reckon that he's the greatest of all Liverpudlians. So when people started to, wow, you know, have another look. John Foster Jr. Do you know Seymour Street?
Yeah.
Like, we went up there today, didn't we, to get to the liner. Now, Seymour Street had a row of terraces. They've got a row of terraces. And they were going to pull them down until, you know, a couple of people stepped in and said, don't do that. They've been up since 1801. 1801. John Foster Senior built them. One of the greatest architects in the world. He built them, and they're solid, and which they are. So he done them up. They retained, all the splendour of them. But that was going to be a part of Rodney Street, you see, because Rodney Street was going right down.
Okay. Okay.
Look at that.
Just.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? Ain't that beautiful? That's Rodney Street for you. Some of the greatest houses.
Absolutely.
Some of the greatest houses. Do you know whose house that is? I'll tell you this one. Now, you've got it like a little garden to the right of it, to our left as we look.
Yeah.
And that's like a little garden where you can go in. And at the back is Victorian dwellings. It's only one big block. It's cracker. It really is good. And that's where you've got William Roscoe. So it's just great the way. There's lots of things. There's a girl who lived there called Sarah Biffin. Sarah Biffin in Rodney Street. And Sarah Biffin, George III, I'm talking about, he bought loads of little miniature paintings, miniatures, of very famous people then. And they're all now in Buckingham Palace. And the Queen loved them.
Yeah.
By Sarah Biffin from Rodney Street.
Wow.
It's a unique story about Sarah Biffin and these fantastic, very, say she was doing Nelson, for example. Yeah. Painting Nelson. It'll look the image of Nelson, Admiral Nelson. But there's a big but with Sarah Biffin. She had no arms or legs.
Wow.
And she was actually in a circus as a freak. And one day the ringmaster went in to where she was, and she was painting. Yeah, there's one of her paintings. What Jason put up. Look at that. Look.
Stunning. Absolutely.
So rather than slipping, just like loose, the ringmaster put like a strap around here, the shoulder and the neck. And it was, so she could put it and paint it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Incredible. But she had no arms or legs. Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, there she is. There's Sarah. There's Sarah Biffin. And behind there is the little miniatures.
Yeah. It's a little palace.
In Rodney Street. See, that's what I mean about Rodney Street. Sam, Jesus, I've just forgot his name. Sam Neill, out of The Omen. Sam Neill, the actor. I showed him a couple of things. Because they were filming up there. They were filming Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
And anyway, I said, "Do you see that?" Now, go on, sorry.
I was just going to say he's a brilliant actor. I really, really enjoy his work.
Brilliant. He's brilliant as Sam Neill. But anyway, what I showed him, and when I started off about it, I'd love to show you this particular place because this architect, this fella who wanted it, he said, "Can you do me an unusual one? House, rather than just, windows and a door and, the usual." And he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "An abstract one." He said, "Yeah, I'll do an abstract one." Designed an abstract one. And he designed it. You're not going to believe it. And I'd love to show you it. And it's a face. It's a face. So do you know when we go out that day?
Yeah.
We'll go and have a look at it. How about that?
We'll pick you up and go and get a bacon butty somewhere near. Yeah. What year would this be then, Frank?
What?
What year would that have been?
Oh, it'll be around 18. No, before then. They started off in 1794. I think 1808. 1808. I said 18, didn't I?
Wow.
So it'll be around that time. It'll be around that time.
It's more.
I would guess who the labourers were. They were the French prisoners of war. They were the labourers.
Solid bill then.
Yeah, from the Napoleonic Wars. Oh yeah, everything was solid. Everything was solid. I'm going to show you something here. And you know when they talk about certain things, in history.
Yeah.
There was a Reverend Malthus. And here's what he said. He gathered all these people around, all the poor. And here's what he said. Reverend Malthus, law of population demanded, right? The total abolition of all the present parish laws, because there was parish laws, you see. And, the parish laws gave like something to the poor. It was nothing. It was a pittance, but at least they could get something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And here's what he said to them, gathered them all around, and they really thought that they were going to be fed. And this is a reverend, a man of the church, a man of the club. And he says, "We grant you poor a right to exist, but only to exist. The right to multiply you have not, nor the right to exist as befits human beings. You are a pest, and if we cannot get rid of you as we do other pests, you shall feel, at least, that you are a pest, and you shall at least be held in check, kept from bringing into the world other surplus, either directly or through inducing in others the laziness and want of employment. Live you shall, but live as an awful warning to all those who might have inducements to become superfluous."
It's like a chapter from a horror story.
Of course it is. And that's the way people have to live. That's the way people have to live.
Well, do you know what? You get me thinking about all sorts every week and every time we meet. But I did a little bit of a read up on Spencer Percival.
Oh yeah.
And because of his legal background, he was a lawyer and he was an ambitious lawyer. and some of the laws that he brought in, which kind of apply today. If you and I want to go out on the street with placards and protest whatever, then we can be arrested and all that. But all of that started with him. And one of the things that he passed through was that to vote, which is our right to change our government, you could not vote if you were in receipt of any poverty, whether it be church, handouts, or anything. You weren't classed as human.
No, you weren't, because that's what Dickens and Scrooge. Aren't there any workhouses? Aren't there any debtors' prisons? Aren't there any treadmills?
Yes.
Aren't there? And I thought that they never existed now, because they went around for charity, these fellas, and they were getting the points over.
The greatest sadness of modern day is that those words kind of hang.
Oh, of course they do. That's why I read it out.
Yeah.
That's why I read it out, because there's 4.5 million people. No, kids, I'm sorry. 4.5 million children who go to school below the poverty line. They don't even have a breakfast. There are some teachers who actually buy the breakfast for them. They bring it in.
Yeah.
One teacher brought in a toaster, a loaf of bread, butter and jam.
Yeah.
To give the kids.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
There's that house there, look. I was telling you about, with the face.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it carefully, people, you've got 2 eyes at the top.
Yeah.
That's a moustache coming down like that. That's a moustache. And the mouth, where the window is, the top, is like that. So you've got your 2 eyes, the moustache, and the mouth open.
With the teeth and the bricks.
Isn't it? Yeah. Isn't that brilliant?
It is brilliant.
And that's what the great man did. That's what the great man did. Unbelievable.
I wonder how that was
thought out. We'll just go through these and then we'll go for a break. And so, Mark, you're nearly right about Dickens and Oliver Twist. Is it true, Frank, that Mary Kelly worked in the Liverpool area? It depends on what Kelly you mean. Do you mean Kitty Kelly? Let me know, Mark. I'll tell you more about it. Okay. Frank, the connection with all languages is internet care. Exactly as, old Celtic and Kirsch and German lingo. Yeah, right. You're right. And the Redbird, love oldie worldy language, yeah. A poor player that struts and frets is out upon the stage and is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. That's your what false face approaches me and greets me? What false face? That's all Shakespeare.
I wish I had your memory for that, Frank. It was a wonderful piece which I can never recollect fully, but each man plays his part in life. And it's basically the old cliche of we all have 15 minutes of fame, whatever we do in life.
Absolutely.
Brilliantly.
Yeah, you know, the glory of 15 minutes of fame,
Yeah.
15 minutes of fame. And, you know, it's so good to think that, you know, there are people out there who do have 15 minutes of fame and then
We
are
all,
just
it,
forgotten.
yeah. Regardless of what we do, we all have our moments. You know.
See, the red bird, I'll just finish off with these three and then we'll go to a break. No one, says the red bird, should go hungry in today's money world, but the millionaires and billionaires are too greedy. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Right on both points.
And Chris says the Reverend Malthus could have been in today's government. They are in today's government. That's why it's so appropriate.
Yeah.
They don't give a about you. Ian Mack, Liverpool at the First Society for the Yes, they did. And another first, London started the LSPCC based on Liverpool, which later became the NSC. Never knew that. Yes, of course. Sorry, Frank, the Mary Kelly of the... Yeah, I'll talk about that if you don't mind. I've got to do the break. Mary Kelly. Yeah, I'll talk about Mary Kelly. I'm sorry there, you know, because there was a couple of Mary Kellys. Okay, but I will talk about... Okay, Miss Kelly, which is bad. But anyway, we're going to have a break now, and we'll get back. Okay.
This is the famous Cunard building, the middle of the Three Graces, built in 1916 by Villink and Thicknesse. Samuel Cunard came over from Canada in 1848 and set up the famous Cunard Line. The most famous ships of the Cunard Line are the Lusitania, the Mauretania, and of course the Queen Mary, which incidentally was designed in this building. If you would have been lucky enough to have travelled on one of the Cunard's liners, you would have seen a similar stairwell to this. There was no expense spared because the shipping lines at the time were so lucrative, and as you can see, the sumptuousness of the interior. The architects Villink and Thicknesse deliberately kept a part of the original dock wall built by the French prisoners of war. It's a little bit different, as you can see down here, from the lavishness upstairs. And through this door is Liverpool's architecture unseen, and the wall built by the French prisoners of war in 1807. So follow me. Here is the original wall that was deliberately left by Villink and Thicknesse. And there it is. This is the magnificent boardroom where the plans for the Mauretania and Cunard's flagship, the Queen Mary, were actually designed. The boardroom is a masterpiece in itself. Just look at the spectacular views of the Mersey. Incredible. This corridor is based on the Queen Mary first class passenger corridor and just look at it. It's absolutely magnificent. Today, the offices are used for legal services and they still have to make a cup of tea. But in this case, it's no ordinary kitchen. They have their own galley or, as in this case, their own mess room. Further down into the Cunard building, here we find the original air raid shelter that the people used during the Second World War. The people including the staff of the building and also the armed forces. How do we know that it's the air raid shelter? Because all the clues are still here to say that it was. Let's go further back to the early part of the 20th century when the passengers who were actually sailing from this building had to leave their luggage in these racks here. Everybody's talking about smoking bans. Let me tell you, it's not a new thing. You could easily be deceived by looking at this place. It could easily be a brig, a bridewell, a jail. In fact, it's as safe as ours, and I'll tell you why. Behind these steel doors, the first-class passengers had all their valuables, whether they be famous paintings from Europe, furniture, jewels, everything, and they hired these safes for safekeeping. The rooms were very basic, as you can see, but at least all the valuables were kept safe, except this one. Maybe they forgot the key and never returned. The Port of Liverpool building was the first to be erected of the Three Graces in 1907, and the eminent architect was Sir Arnold Thornley. Looking at this stunning building, you could be forgiven if you thought that you were in Rome or Florence, Italy. Yet, we are here on Liverpool's famous waterfront and the New World Heritage Site. Here in the reception area, we have the Italian terrazzo with its wonderful mosaic compass. The Port of Liverpool building is mainly used for offices, and you can imagine the thousands of feet crossing over. Yet, very few know of the terrazzo and the compass's history. Italian migrants came over to Liverpool and plied their trade to make enough money for passage to America. That is how the building and others are graced with such fine Italian work as the terrazzo. Do we know the names of any of these talented men who laid the fabulous floor? You won't find them on a roll of honour, but you will find them tucked away in the terrazzo floor itself. Directly above the compass, you will find the central magnificent dome. Behind this unassuming door is a perfect example of Liverpool's architecture, unseen. It's a bit of a climb, as you can imagine, but when we get to the top, it's well worth it, because through this door is another gem which you will see on Liverpool's architecture, unseen. We are now in the inner dome, and I'm sorry to keep it in the dark, because a matter of 60 years ago, we had a little Wales War, and it's been blacked out ever since. If you're scared of heights, look away now. Luckily enough, through restoration, the dome will be back to its former glory, and that means lighter shades like pastels, cream, where from ground level and even right up here in the heart of the dome, you'll be able to see the wonderful friezes and covings. During the Second World War, and in particular the May Blitz of 1941, the vibrations of the bombs damaged the structure of the central dome. The iron girders that you can see were cemented and bricked in after the war to stabilise the dome itself in case it toppled over. Earlier we had seen the mark left by the terrazzo floor layers, and just like in modern times, our builders also left their mark. This is the pinnacle of the Port of Liverpool building, a part of Liverpool's architecture, unseen. This is the cantilever staircase with its stained glass windows of every country throughout the old British Empire. Everything in the building has a nautical theme, right down to the lamp standards, as you can see, the dolphins. So the next time you walk through the Port of Liverpool, you'll be able to see some of the wonders for yourself of this magnificent building.
Love that. I absolutely love that. But when you said, if you're scared of heights, don't look now. I'm looking like that. And then whoever's doing the camera zoomed in or zoomed out, and I thought, I'm glad I wasn't.
And you're looking down because you're enclosed, and all of a sudden you just see a deep abyss. And you look down, and it is, you go. But, it was fun doing that. But as someone said now, you can't get into buildings.
Okay.
You just can't get into them. And I'll tell you when it was all these terrorists going around at the time. And so they started to close off buildings. And then what you had also with these you ever remember those people walking around with the Guy Fawkes masks, and they were breaking into places, you know, and putting the homeless in there. So they stopped it all. They just said no more. And you know, that's the sad indictment.
They did it to a beautiful building on Church Street, didn't they? And severely damaged it.
Yeah.
Then and now it's going to open up as a restaurant, the Ivy.
The Ivy, yeah. Well, the point is, you know, again, what they did, they broke into the very first Bank of England's outside London, in Castle Street.
Yeah.
And, you know, they broke into there and used as, you know, I've got nothing against the homeless, of course I haven't. There shouldn't be any homeless in the 21st century, but there is. But they broke into there, and, you know, they did wreck it, you know. They never wrecked all of it, but they wrecked some of it, the interior. And it's sad. It's just sad.
It is sad.
What has happened, you know, so it just stopped everything. It just stopped everything.
Yeah.
You know, from getting into buildings, no matter who you were or who you are, you know.
There are so many derelict buildings in the city that are not without uses. And
No.
you mentioned the homeless, you mentioned there's so many worthy causes that could use those buildings. But surprisingly, how so many of them are privately owned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But they're not from Liverpool either.
No, and they don't want to do anything with them.
No. You've only got to look at the Wellington rooms, you know, the old Irish Centre.
Oh, that's such a shame. I mean, it must be 25 years. So last time I went in there, and it was bouncing then, full of life. It's great.
But as Gary Ropey says, I remember that, Frank, and I don't think they were all homeless. No, of course they weren't. What it was these fellas and girls with these masks on, and they broke open, you know, they meant good, don't get me wrong, they meant good. And I always remember going up Wellington's column, me and Tony Snell. And Tony was doing an outside broadcast. It was funny, actually, because when we went up, I was mad. Tony was fit, he played football every bloody night, five-a-side. And he got up there, and he's a lot younger than me as well. And he opened it, you know, he was an engineer with us, so he opened the doors, you know, at the top of the column. And he went like that, he said, the record finished, and he went, and there's Frank just come on. He said, Frank, tell the viewers what we're actually looking at here, as we look at out over it. And Frank went, it threw me in because the little steps going up, you know, are very, very narrow. And it told me. So he said, we're playing another record, and Frank had to give a description, he can't say. And anyway, he plays another record, and he said, don't talk, he said, I just nod me in. And then the record finished, and he said, well, Frank, I hope you've got your breath back. Can you tell us, can you explain what we're looking at? Frank again went, you know, but the people who stopped there, Tony and I was going to film it, and someone must have known about us, you know, going up there, and it was the Fathers for Justice, you know, for their kids.
Yes.
And they broke into it and got up there and put a flag up and all this, or a banner, saying justice for their fathers, which you don't mind, but it's the wrong place. And they just locked it up and no one ever gets in there. And we couldn't even film. He said, no, we can't film. Because we filmed everywhere. We filmed everywhere. That's just being seen there. And it's so sad. And Monty Connor all the way from Atlanta. Ahoy, Frank, hey, Monty. Lovely Elaine Ellis. Evening, Frank and Auntie.
Oh, good evening, Lynn.
And the Red Bird. Frank, have you ever thought of becoming an historian? I think you'd be good at it.
I was there for a second now.
And Gary Rigby says, I remember when the Jacaranda was a squat in 1989. There was loads of squats. But you can't, if you look at the Bank of England, Professor Sir Charles Cockerill designed and built it. And it was opened in 1846. 1846. And then people tried to get it banged, Anyway, that's that. And when you look now at, I always remember, I was going down to see someone in the town hall and I couldn't get in. And it was because of those people running around, getting in with the masks on. And they said, we have to lock all the doors now. It's shocking what's happening. So you've got to take
some of the buildings have changed and things. But I remember in the late 80s on Castle Street, a beautiful bank, the Cooperative Bank, which was my bank for all once, which was so detailed inside its interior, the way it was. I'm hoping it's still open. I think it's a coffee shop or something now. But when it was a bank, it was just breathtaking.
Yeah.
Lovely outside, but inside was very, very ornate.
Oh yeah, there's one on the, I forget, Lucy and Little designed it, and it was the Welsh Bank on the corner of Castle Street, on James Street, corner of Castle Street and James, and it became a bar, and the inside was absolutely stupendous. The plasterwork, you name it, fantastic. And that's now shut. I think it's open now again, isn't it? It's open. Ali Nusal, our Romanian friend. Good evening. Good evening, Ali. Good evening.
Good evening, Ali.
And Gary says, there's one of my questions out on the Snelly show. Did I? Remember what it was? And it's Nero Cafe, Anthony. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Gary. I'm glad it's still open. This is a building. I mean, it's a glorious building. I remember when I walked in there first, and it was like, wow, your head turns every direction. Yeah.
And it's, the Cafe Nero was the Adelphi Bank.
Oh,
and when it's no people, the Adelphi Bank, if you look at the doors are priceless, believe it or not, because they were done by a fella named Simpson, and he did all this ornate stuff. And on the doors, you've got the likes of Castor and Pollux, Jonathan and David. So you have all these brothers, hence Adelphi, which is Greek for brothers.
I never knew that either.
There you go.
Every time we meet. Yeah. If I met you when I was a teenager, I'd be educated now.
But the point is, Lynn Ellis, the lovely Lynn, is getting up a coach. And this is what I'm saying to people. If you come on the coach tour, honestly, if you come on the coach tour, people out there, it's great. You have a laugh, but you're shown all these things. You're shown everything. You get to see the detail of certain places. Absolutely brilliant.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
It's like,
that is.
it's like we've said so many times, and most of us are on a mission. And when you walk through, certainly central town, you're going somewhere. So you're looking at the shop windows. You're not looking above, and you're not looking at the buildings really. And we miss so much.
Do you know what? This Gary Rigby, this is incredible. He said, you know, and he reads out a question. Yeah, fine. There was about 2 statues in Botanic Gardens on Edge Lane. Well, those are there, horses there, Gary, because Jason and I were talking, and what we're going to do in the next few weeks, I think, or whenever, is we're going to talk about 20 statues, and they'll be part of them. So just wait. Anthony will have 10, and I'll have 10. And that'll be part of them, I promise you, about those. Because now there's more, isn't there? There's more statues that have been done.
More
statues.
I always have a love for the ones that we never knew what they were depicting, or
Yes.
what they were celebrating, or
Yes.
and you know, yeah.
And you know the one that used to be in Church Street. Now it's on the Strand, and it's a horse made of rope.
Yeah.
And you see a fella like this, got hold of it.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's called the Great Escape. It's called the Great Escape. Okay. And I won't tell you what it's about now, because I'll pick that as one of the 10 and explain why it's called the Great Escape.
Yeah.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
I still remember that being on Church Street. And
then
there was a bit of an uproar when it moved. It was kind of right there.
It was.
So centre line, so everyone saw it. Yeah.
I know why they moved it, to be honest. They moved it because they were putting a statue there of the Moores brothers.
That's right.
And they didn't want, so near. So they decided to put it down at the Strand, which is good, actually, because the story is behind the restraint, Great Escape.
Yeah.
So that's it. So it will be good. Gary Rigby says, brilliant, I look forward to that. Yeah, good tip.
Yeah. Me too,
we'll do it, definitely. 10 each, and, because when you look at statues, they're incredible. They're absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And there's the Cafe Nero.
Oh, that's the building. I love it even now, walking past. Yeah, one of my favourite places in town to get a coffee and a tot is just.
It is, honestly. When you, Lainey, and I are out, we'll go there, but I'll show you something. I'll just show you something around there, and you'll go, especially Lainey, she'll go, honestly. There's the doors, look.
Oh, the detail in that. My God, that's art in itself, isn't it?
It's incredible, isn't it, really?
Yes.
When you look at them, as I said, these are the brothers. These are the brothers. and they're priceless. And see the way it says the Adelphi Bank.
Yeah. No, I never noticed that. And there you go. An example of what I'm talking about.
No, that's what I mean. Honestly, people look at something, you go, "Oh, isn't that lovely?" Point is,
we
they
don't
haven't
see it.
seen, they haven't seen other things.
Yeah.
I
We
point them
look
out.
at it, but we don't see it.
No, and I go like that. Look at that up there, and they go, "Oh, never
Yeah.
noticed that."
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm talking about freezers as well. Freezers. Wow.
Yeah.
But when Jonathan and David and Castor and Pollux, they were great. Romulus and Remus, they were great men. They were great people.
Yeah.
These are brothers, hence the Adelphi. So, if you let me know if you're interested, please, in going on this coach trip, if you want to go. And it'll be a nice day, that's a promise. That'll be bloody warm. And I was freezing today, wasn't I, Andy?
And it was warmer than yesterday. Yeah. It's hard to believe we're in summer. It doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't feel like it at all.
No.
Can I just ask all the people, who tuned in, can you, what YouTube do? They unsubscribe people for some reason, unbeknown to themselves. And it was only again mentioned last night on some political thing. They unsubscribe people. So, if you can subscribe, it'll be greatly, for me. It really will, and the show as well. So, just subscribe and like. Just please like. Just please. I don't ask all these super chats or anything like that. I disagree with them. In all honesty, I disagree with them, and it's shocking. Gary Rigby again. What about the Dickie Lewis Liverpool resurgent? Was there an uproar at the time over that? There wasn't an uproar, but people, and when they gave it the name Dickie Lewis, Jacob Epstein, you see, the resurgence, this was after the war, and that's what it meant, the resurgence of Liverpool, becoming great again, coming out of the phoenix, and, the rebirth of Liverpool. When you're born, you've got no clothes on. And I always remember being on a coach trip, and we were doing the Liverpool thing, and we were going down by the Adelphi. And I said to they were all old ladies. I was asked to that. These all old ladies. And I went like that. I said, and before we got to it, I said to them, "Does anyone know about Dickie Lewis?" And they all went, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, okay then, you all know about Dickie Lewis." And they all giggled. And I said, "What's he standing on? Can anyone tell me what he's actually standing on?" And not one of them answered, "Oh, we don't know, Frank." So I went, "Okay, yeah, so you were only looking at one thing then." And they all giggled again. I said, "Yeah," and we got by there. I said, "That's what he's standing on." And he's standing on the bow of a ship. And they're all laughing their little heads off. "Oh, Frank, you're awful." I said, "No, I'm not awful. You're awful. You're awful. He's only known by one thing. Your fellas years ago underneath Dickie." "Oh, Frank." Oh, great. And lovely Lynn says, "We walk past these places often, yet we don't know much about them. Always look up."
Yeah. Quite right, Lynn. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Ian Mack, "I'm off for the coach trip, Frank." Yes. Yeah, there's one. Great. But your Chris Dix, he'd come over from Montenegro if he could to go on it. And he says, thanks, Frank and Anthony, another enjoyable show. We are an hour later. Yes, so don't be worrying. And Red Revolution states early in the morning. See you tomorrow, Frank, on the Footy Show. Hit likes, lads, before the show ends. Good night. Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
So,
Chris.
you know, you've got all this, which is, and when you see, I want to talk about this actually. And when you see that about the poor, you're talking like the end of the 18th coming into the 19th century, what this fella said. Imagine, you know, you shall be at least held, there be held in check, kept from bringing into the world other surplus. That means you're not going to have kids.
No.
You're not going to. And it's just, and as he calls them, you know, lazy and want. Lazy and want. And that's the sad thing, how people viewed it. Dickens came out with it. You know, he came out and said, you know, these people, this is why he wrote Oliver Twist, this is why he wrote Hard Times, and all his other things as well. Because he was a great social commentator. And if you ever read Jane Eyre is the same. Jane Eyre is the same. She, Charlotte Bronte, that is, she wrote about, and it was a great social commentary, because kids weren't being educated. Nothing was educated. And Dickens actually fell into the trap of middle class people, you know, because really he thought being middle class, you're self-educated anyway. Because when you look at Oliver Twist and his birth, he was born and grew up as a, you know, nearly coming into adolescence. Yet he spoke with a fine accent. He had a wide range vocabulary. And he taught that, you know, I'm talking about Dickens. He really taught that, you know, born into middle class, upper middle class families, you don't need educating really, because you're already at it. You see what I mean?
Yeah, he's kind of he's an icon of the times, really, because he got to a level where he could transmit his thoughts and his aims for society through regards to storytelling, and hit a mass audience.
Well, he had to make the likes of Oliver Twist, the likes of Pip, and Great Expectations. You know, he made them
Christmas
like
Carol.
heroes.
Yeah.
You know, the middle classes, because if there was no heroes or anything in books or periodicals as he did them, you know, they read it like that, and they can't wait for the next chapter, which would be the following week.
Absolutely.
You know, and he always left you on a knife edge. Everything he did. That's why he was one of the greatest. I put him alongside, and I said this to my old professor, I put him alongside, parallel with Shakespeare. I really did. Albeit he was a better descriptive, well, obviously a better descriptive writer than the Shakespeare. But, you know, that's just my opinion, because people will disagree with it or whatever. But that's just my opinion. It's about everything else. You've got to look at William Blake and about this particular vice of pauperism. And when you see the vice of pauperism, William Blake wrote a poem, and it was London. That's the poem London. And it's incredible. I wander through each chartered street near where the chartered Thames does flow. Marks of weakness, marks in every face of me. Hang on. In every street. Hang on. Hang on. I'll start again. I'm sorry. And it goes like this. I wander through each chartered street near where the chartered Thames does flow. In every face of native man, marks of weakness, marks of woe. Now, the chartered street is, you can't walk down there unless you live there. You know, I'm talking about these nice posh streets. And you would put in jail for vagrancy. No ifs, no buts, jail. So it was chartered. That's what he meant by it, William Blake. And then when you look at the chartered Thames, you have to pay to go across. That's chartered. You couldn't go near the river unless you were thrown into for vagrancy. It's like parks here.
Yeah.
You know, it was only for the posh people. It was only for the posh people that could go in and wander around the parks. If if anyone like walked in and they weren't dressed properly and they were like, homeless or whatever, they were in jail on the treadmill or something, So that's what it was like back in the day. And
in Liverpool, wasn't it, Frank? Sorry to interrupt. Certain streets in Liverpool that even in semi-modern times that you weren't encouraged to walk down unless you looked the part, Bow Street being one of them. So you were encouraged not to hang around there.
It's like anything else. When you look at Blake's poem again, and wars and everything else, and it was always started by the establishment. Now, kings and queens have always been the establishment.
Yeah.
And so was the church, giving the blessings.
Yeah.
And, and in the poem, London, it says, and the blackening church appalls as the hapless soldier sighs, as blood runs down palace walls. So he's having to go at the church, giving the blessing to go. Yeah. The soldier's hapless because he has to go. He's being ordered to go, as the blood, the soldier's blood runs down palace walls because he's going to his death.
Yeah.
And then, you go a few hundred years later, well, a couple of hundred years later, to the Wilfred Owen, where what passing bells for these who die as cattle. Think about that. What passing bells?
Yeah.
Church bells, but it also has connotations with the bells around cattle's necks.
Yeah.
Always, as they're walking. So what passing bells for these who die as cattle? You see, and that's the opening two lines of Anthem for Doom Dew.
Yeah.
And this is, these poets were brilliant,
Absolutely, Frank. Profound, and still is now. And you wonder in modern times, again, you've got the problem of if someone wanted to do a version of Wilfred Owen now, you wouldn't get a TV network to put it out. You wouldn't get a newspaper to print it. You wouldn't get a publisher to back it because of the same thing. No one wants to rock the boat. And it is a soldier never calls a fight.
Yeah.
Shiny ass politician will often call a fight.
Well, that's it. The way you see things. It's today. It's going on today. you've got like the French now who are fed up with Macron, and he's panicked and he's called an election. He won't get thrown out, by the way. He won't get thrown out. But that's why he's called a snap election now. Because he knows how bad he is. He doesn't care about the French people. All he cares about is himself. And he wants to rule Europe, believe it or not. Now you've got Rishi Sunak trying to bring back a fella from the Lords. And Cameron, and that's a disgrace. And don't forget, Sunak is unelected. No one elected him to become the Prime Minister. It was only a handful of Tories, about 200,000 of them. Yet there's 67 million people or 70 million people in this country.
Well, this is kind of what I've been reading about today with you when you put me on to Spencer Perceval. And I'm reading the background to that. We had, of course, the Napoleonic Wars. And again, you don't know if you're going to be called up, what's going to be called up. We were losing thousands of people. The country was in a shambles. No one had money to buy food. And I'm thinking, it's the old line, isn't it? History will repeat itself continually. And we make the same mistakes at every point.
Well, we've always made mistakes, Anthony. And that's the sad thing. And look, we need people to run the country. And that's what people's in the mindset. Oh, well, we need people to, that's why you've got to vote. You're controlled to vote. What would happen? Like, I'm not going to vote this year. It'll be the first time since I was 18 years of age when I could vote. I'm not going to vote. It'll be the first time since I was 18, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I disagree with everything every politician, what they're doing. And I'm looking at certain things abroad. As I said, this government, whether it's right or wrong, whether people agree or disagree, they're giving billions of money, our money, taxpayers' money, to the most corrupt leader on the planet, and that's Zelensky. He's not even now an elected president of Ukraine. He's unelected. Instead, constitution. Yeah, he's still in power. It's the Americans keeping him in power, right? They're giving him billions. He's buying mansions all over the world, for God's sake. How come? How come he can buy mansions? He's worth billions now. And we're giving him billions more, while there's 4.5 million children who go to school without a breakfast, come home without a tea on the table, because they're below the poverty line. That's what gets me.
But then that goes back to, I'm not up on Zelensky. I regarded him as a hero for them. And now I've not read enough to offer.
Yeah. Well, you read. Listen, I'm being honest with you, Anthony. I haven't read. Now think about this. Think about this. You know Hillsborough. The truth.
Yes.
I haven't read anything since then, because the liars.
Yeah.
Every one of them. The British are terrible, and so is the American government, for splashing out propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and lies. Now there's Biden saying to his people, "Oh, everything's great. We're not in a recession." They are. It's shocking what they're going through. And people, they're all complaining. Look at the borders, they're open. Anyone's getting in. And this is just America. And you might think they're not all driving around. Have a look at Philadelphia. Just have a look at that. What's going on there? It's shocking. Drug addicts. Even California. You've got homeless. You've got thousands of homeless. They're in the streets.
Yeah.
One fella in San Francisco was showing. I was watching a documentary.
Yeah.
And he said this was the most exclusive street in San Francisco. He said, look at it now. They were all shut up, all the shops. He said, it's gone down the pan. But that's the way it is. And in this country, you talk about veterans. I've just spoke about veterans. We're passing bells for these who die as cattle. As the hapless soldier sighs as blood runs down palace walls.
Yeah.
They're homeless.
And you've
got mental health problems.
And you've shown that piece of hatred.
Yes.
From generations ago about if you're not working, you're worthless. You're not worth anything, and
And that's the way it is. That's the way it is. You look at different aspects. And like I've done everything about Ukraine. I've done everything about it. I've looked at Zelensky. He used to be a comedian. And he used to play the piano with his penis as a comedian. He was an actor. And that's why he's a puppet to the Americans. They kept him in power. And he's just corrupt as anything. Even before, Russia went in, they were the most corrupt country in the whole of Europe. Now it's the planet. Because Ukraine, whether, you agree or disagree, any of you out there, has become a washing machine for laundering money. All the billions going in there is coming back out and it's going back to America. What's it going back to America for? It's going to Lockheed Martin and Raytheon to make big bombs and planes and everything else. That's what it's for. And where are those bombs being sent to? See what I mean? Yeah. And that's the way it is. I look at different newses, and that's where I get my things. And these are good people, by the way. They're not jokes. Yeah. Not like me, like these are ex-CIA people talking. These are ex-army people, generals and majors, inspector, weapons inspectors. Now, we all know that the likes of Iraq, there was no weapons of mass destruction. Just wait till you hear about Ukraine. We know that now about Iraq. And look at Muammar Gaddafi. Cameron sent it. He wanted him dead because of regime change. And we helped him. Cameron sent it. And, Muammar Gaddafi was murdered. Yeah, Gaddafi, if anyone's aware, he was great to his people. He said, I was brought up, I was born in a tent. And I was brought up in a tent. My people are not going to be brought up in tents. And he gave them all houses. It's incredible what Gaddafi did. And he always supported the underprivileged. And yet he murdered them. Simply because he wanted not to participate in the dollar with his oil. He wanted to exchange his oil for gold to make Libya more prosperous. That's why he was doing it. Exactly the same for Saddam Hussein. That's why they made up a story about weapons of mass destruction. And you've got this fella named Scott Ritter, and he was a weapons inspector. And he said, there's none there. Hans Blix from Europe, he said, there's none there. Yet they made a lie up that Dick Cheney. And Bush, W. Bush, W. Horrible man.
Actually,
so there's loads going on that should know about. Anyway, I'm going to carry on about our own history. Now, I remember showing this, and people said, is that the castle? I said, no, it's not the castle. That's the very first, on the right that is, the very first tower building. And there's only been 3 on the site. So when you go down to the pier head, like that was built around 1301. And you've got St. Nick's Church facing it. And that's the original tower of St. Nick's Church. And in 1812, what had happened, there was kids from the charity school, these young kids, little girls, and they went to the service, and the bell ringer was ringing the bell, and the tower collapsed. And it killed the bell ringer, obviously, and also the children. So they put up a new one. And that's what you see today. A brand new, well, it went up in 1815, a brand new tower, and that's what you see today. And on the top of it, you've got the weather vane of the Donnelly. Now, the Donnelly was a tobacco ship, and that floundered. And the fella who owned the Donnelly, he said, can I make a weather vane and put it up on top of it? He said, yeah, okay. Because after all, it's the Sailors' Church.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
It's incredible.
I love that. I love that view. Where we're now, I thought is if we're on the standing alongside the Liver building, isn't it? Looking back.
Yeah. 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 And the actual tower, as I said, that's the earliest known view of Liverpool, that one. There's nothing before. That's the earliest known view. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
And what you see in the background, the hills, I've got a coloured print of it actually, hanging on my wall. And what you've got of it, that's Everton. That's Everton. Yeah. And that was even before the tower was built. And the tower, the tower was not this tower here that you're looking at. But when you see old pictures, you've got a tower at the top of Everton. And that's why it's called Beacon Hill, Beacon Lane, because there was a beacon up there, and it was built for when the Romans were coming. It was built then, before, and it was used as a big semaphore, for the Romans when they were circumnavigating the country when they invaded in AD 42. So this is what you're at. And it's incredible, but they built it up again during the Armada. They built it higher, the beacon, and they built it higher because of they were waiting for the Spanish, and if the Spanish were coming down the Mersey, during the Armada, there was lit a fire to warn the people the Spanish were on the way. It was never lit because the Spanish never got it. It's incredible. And there you are. I love this picture because what you've got Juggler Street. Juggler Street. And Juggler Street is High Street today, right next to the town hall. It's called High Street now. But you know why? You know, that led into Castle Street. And do you know why it was called Juggler Street, Anthony?
No.
Well, the castle, when it was built in approximately 1234, they used to have entertainment, you know, for the sheriff.
Yeah.
He became sheriff of the castle. And dignitaries used to go there. So they had entertainment. They all had entertainment. So what they used to do, they used to congregate, you know, acrobats, musicians, jesters, and he used to lead them out, you know, leading from there down to the castle. Right, it was jugglers. Jugglers. That's who used to lead them out, you know, the troupe of entertainers behind them.
Yeah.
Hence, Juggler Street.
Street. Fascinating. I never heard that.
There you go. It's like Dale Street. Now, Dale Street, if you think about it, it was a dale.
Yeah.
Went down like that. So they built it up because it was known as the Dale Street. The Dale Street. Not just Dale Street. So they built it up. And when if you look from the town hall down, you can actually see a dip. You actually see a dip and it rises again. By the municipal building, for example.
Yeah.
Right? And when you walk along and you go past, going towards the Mersey Tunnel, and you're going past and you get to the, you know, the bottom of, well, you think it's the bottom of Dale Street, and then you go down towards the Ship and Mitre. You actually go on a slope then down.
Yeah.
You know, Hatton Garden there, from there.
Yeah.
It starts going down because that was part of the Dale, leading down to the pool. Because the pool, you know, that's where we got our name from. Because the pool came off the Mersey, and it was just known as the pool, where people used to fish, used to catch salmon there. Salmon. It was incredible. And you've heard of Marboyles, haven't you? Marboyles.
Yeah.
Well,
I used to go there a lot, yeah. Yeah.
Well, the original Marboyles was called the Oyster Bar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the original Marboyles sold oysters. Can't get them now. They used to get them out the pool. And remember I'll have to finish on this. Do you ever remember in Williamson Square, the fountain?
Yeah.
You know, used to like make arches, didn't it? The fountain.
Yeah.
Well, that was the original water from the pool. Because you can't get rid of it. It's like another river. And
So
it
it's
used to
still
come off. Yeah. Well, it used to come off. Well, it did come off the Mersey, and it ran down towards Paradise Street and right down Whitechapel, right to where, and it used to lay where we know now is the bottom of St. John's Gardens and the entrance to the Mersey Tunnel. That's where it used to lay.
Wow.
There. And it was just known as the pool. That's how we got our name. And there used to be loads of laver on the pool, which is another word for, again, it's Anglo-Saxon, for seaweed. So we renamed seaweed poo, really, like Liverpool. It's incredible, isn't it?
Pool of life.
Full of life. Our lid says, both my sons were in Iraq, and both of them said no weapons of mass destruction. Getting away. Good night, Frank and Anthony and all.
Good
Says
night,
the
Lynn.
Lord.
Thank you.
So you see what I mean about
Yeah,
Iraq. And, their soldiers said there was no weapons of mass destruction.
yeah. No, I see. It's like everything now is tied up. It's
It's
slithery
all
knots
lies. It's
of
all
paper.
lies.
Yeah.
And, all as Russia was doing, saying, do not. That war never started in 2022, by the way. It started in 2014 with a coup d'etat. That's where it started. And the Russians were saying, listen, this is wrong. You can't be having this. Because they wanted to put NATO on the doorstep of Russia. So Russia's protecting themselves. And we're on the precipice of a nuclear war, and people don't realise it. Because the Russians said, we've had enough of you lot. We've had enough. They've sent fleets of some of the most powerful nuclear subs that's possible, both in the Pacific and in the Atlantic, right by America. Just imagine the Cuba crisis, for example. Kennedy said, you're not going to do that. You can't do that. And Khrushchev were okay, because they were putting missiles in Cuba. Hence the missile thing, but nothing came of it. And it's just like, what if Russia went like that to Mexico and South American countries who don't like America and said, yeah, there's loads of missiles for you. What would they do? What would they do? It's a shit they kick off. And that's all that Russia's done. He said, hang on. You're not putting NATO on our doorstep. And that's why they went in. Not only that, they were bombing their own. Kiev were bombing their own at a place called the Donbass, where 15,000 people have died. And that's what it's all about. And Zelensky, Mr. Zelensky, is ex-President Zelensky, is a puppet to the Biden administration. And that's what it's all about. Anyway, have you enjoyed tonight?
I've enjoyed tonight, Frank. Enjoyed today. Had a great day. So it's always a buzz if I can get through the day and learn something new, and I've learned a shed load. Yeah. Yeah, no, I had a great night tonight, thanks, Frank.
Well, the thing is, you see, it's like the Jaws, what you've seen there,
Yeah.
on the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. It's like when you see the likes of that,
And
you
it's
know what the fella said, a man of the cloth.
yeah.
You see what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's what it's like. A man of the cloth saying things like that. Live you shall, but live as an awful warning to all those who might have inducements to become superfluous. You're surplus to the requirement. We don't need you.
You don't mean anything.
Well, it's like anything. We don't mean anything to these billionaires, to these globalists, to these deep state neocons. We don't mean that.
No.
We're just there. We're there. That's what I feel like. I'm just a person who's just there. And that's the way I feel about everything. We have kids, we have grandkids, and it's all right. Us, like, we've had a life, but our grandkids haven't. our grandkids haven't. They haven't. They're just going through their lives now, and our kids, they're just going through their lives now.
Yeah.
And it could end so abruptly.
Yeah.
With all these warmongers. It's just shocking.
I know.
So
it's like that thing with you look back in history, we're never far away from that threat.
No, we're never far away. We've always been under the threat of. Yeah, I'll show you this. And I meant to say, do you see the street plan there? It's like a letter H, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Liverpool, like every other major city throughout the world, is based on the Roman street plan. Every city has Roman street plans, all like that. Incredible what the Romans did. Incredible. And that's it. I'll talk more about these particular places because you've got lots and lots of, like Akenzay. Who was Aken? Well, Aken was a little farmer. What does hay mean? Well, hay means a plot of land. And that was his plot of land. Leather Lane. What was Leather Lane? What was in Leather Lane? Well, it was where, leather was made out of the, animals' hides.
Yeah.
Why are we called woolly-backs? Why do we call people woolly-backs? Do you have any idea?
Just, I mean, it was always saying that you live away from central town.
Yeah.
The further you go away.
Yeah. Well, what it was, when ships were coming in, and you had to unload them, and people, had to carry, Liverpool dockers, they had to carry the sacks on the back, and they used to cut the backs because they were sharp. Some of them was sharp things. Like pointy things that cut the back. But what the outsiders did, like these farmers, when they used to come and get their goods, and they used to have to carry them on the back, they had sheep skins, the full wool.
Yeah.
They used to put them on the back. The woolly backs, so it'll save them from getting scratched. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's hence woolly backs.
Woolly backs.
The woolly back. From Liverpool. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's the way it is. Anyway, I'm glad you're there. Thank you this morning as well for coming down for me.
Frank, we really, really enjoyed it. It was great. You did. It was a great talk, and I think you had more in the palm of your hand because it's such a powerful, poignant tale. Aside from the Dickens connection, even, I mean, that's wonderful. But the story itself is like.
Yeah, it's. I forgot to mention about Mary Kelly. I'll do it next week. Mary Kelly.
Yeah.
The real name was Jeanette, by the way. She changed the name. I forget her second name. But her name was Jeanette. So she changed the name. She changed it to her boyfriend's name, Kelly. Right.
She got to London.
Yeah. And what had happened was her boyfriend, James Kelly, she was a domestic for a certain Mr. Well, I'll tell you next week. It's really good. It really is.
Yeah.
Good because there's lots of intrigue and mystery and everything else surrounding this young domestic Irish girl. Really is good. And the name wasn't Mary. Okay.
Okay, Frank. I'm with
Anthony,
you.
thank you so much. And don't forget, when the weather gets a little bit warmer for me,
Yeah.
we'll just I'll go to a couple of places.
Yeah.
You and Lainey, and I'll show you these. Lainey will be made up. I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
she'll bring the girls over, her own girls, and go, see that there? Honestly. I won't tell you what it is.
No,
But she's delighted.
I'll look forward to that, Frank. Really will.
Okay.
All right, mate.
I'll speak to you during the week, obviously.
Okay.
And don't forget, all you people, we'll be back, Anthony and myself, next week. Do you know what I haven't mentioned? The sponsors. Oh,
Yeah.
completely forgot. I'm awfully sorry. And the sponsors, I've got to thank them, because they're great. These are gap painting services. And they're first class. Every one of them are fully insured, fully time served. The good lads, they're in and out. They put everything back wherever they're going to paint or decorate or whatever. If you want the outside to get it done by these lads. Don't take a chance of climbing a bloody ladder up to your windows. Get these lads. They're very reasonable. If you're at OAP, please, get them in, because you get a special discount. If you're a NHS worker, again, you get a special discount. Get them in, even if you're not one of those two. Get them in, because they're very reasonable anyway. They're really good. And, they're the sponsors, got painting services. And they also do commercial as well, not just domestic. So if you're ever thinking of getting anything done, Gap Painting Services, you'll always get that number there. I've just got to thank Anthony for being here with me, keeping me company. And we'll be seeing each other next week, won't we? Next Monday. And also the football game tomorrow, the football show, which starts at 8 o'clock. So we'll be talking all that tomorrow evening. And there we are. Tomorrow's 8 o'clock, don't forget. Don't forget, 8 o'clock tomorrow. Be back on Thursday as well with the football show. We've got the TV and film review show, which is on a Saturday morning. I've got loads of films to talk about. Never had a chance on Saturdays talking about football. Anyway, that's just football, and it was just mad.
Well, it took me ages to try and find it. I couldn't find it on Facebook, and then when I did, I thought must have got the days wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can always find me on YouTube and just get the notifications. But please, try and subscribe to the channel, because you just don't have football, but you also have history. You have film and TV reviews. It's good. I'm not just saying that, people enjoy it anyway. And we have a laugh, and it's really good. Okay. See you next week. But I'll talk to you during the week anyway. Don't forget the football fans. Tuesday, tomorrow, and Thursday. Film review on Saturday. And we're back with Anthony. Or Anthony and I will be back next Monday, 8 o'clock. And we'll have some great things to show. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you all. Thanks, Jason.
And that's who I've got to thank as well, Jason. Without Jason, there would have been nothing. Be no show, to be honest. And look at the pictures he's shown up. He just threw them up. I spoke about them. It wasn't planned. Nothing's planned. And he's just put them all there. Absolutely brilliant. And most importantly as well, I've got to thank the chat, simply because simply because without you, there'd be no show. There'd be no show. So thank you all. See you tomorrow night, all the football fans. Good night now. Good night. God bless.
Good night, all. Thank you.